In this next section, we're going to be talking about one of digital marketers' most profound tools that you could use to identify your perfect customer. And this is a tool that I can tell you I use for every single campaign. Our team uses this before we launch every single campaign because you really need to understand how you're going to speak to your customer's transformational state. But before we dive into what that customer avatar canvas looks like, let's talk about the aware stage of the customer value journey for a second. In this day and age, it's getting a lot harder to advertise. Costs are going up. There's all kinds of new regulations that are being introduced with iOS updates and Google third-party tracking. It's getting a lot harder to get our customers' attention. And the truth is, if we want to get our customers' attention, we need to really understand who they are. And I'm going to paint a little bit of an analogy for you. So as I mentioned to you in my introduction, our team hosts a lot of Shopify meetups all across North America. And let's just picture for a sec here that you're not online watching this training video. You're at one of the meetups and you're in this crowd of people right here. And that's me speaking on the stage. And everybody, all of you are there because you want to get better at marketing your e-commerce store. So hopefully you're there to learn some new insights on how to improve your results. So you're at this meetup, you're getting a lot of value, you're learning some new things about how to grow your business, but let's just call it the elephant in the room for a second. Picture a real world, big old giant elephant comes walking into that meetup room and sits down in the middle of the crowd. Do you think you're still going to be paying attention to me and what I have to say? Or is your attention going to gravitate toward the elephant? You got it. Everybody's attention is going to go toward the elephant. It doesn't matter if what I was saying was going to change their life. The elephant is so profoundly different and out of the ordinary that all of a sudden everyone's attention gravitates towards the elephant. Now, let's picture for a second that Facebook and Snapchat come walking in the same room and they're hanging out in the back. Elephant's still there, I'm still there speaking on the stage, and you're in the crowd. Now, where do you think everybody's attention is going to gravitate towards? Is it going to be towards Snapchat and Facebook hanging out in the back? Is it going to be towards me, or is it going to be towards the elephant? Hope you guessed it right. Everybody's attention is still on the elephant. Nobody really understands what Facebook and Snapchat are doing there, doesn't really address anything relevant to them. So they're still paying attention to this big old elephant because it's the most surprising thing happening. Now I want you to picture for a second at this meetup, at this event, it's really hot day, right? It's boiling hot outside, and all of a sudden the air conditioning breaks down. And as you can see, the elephant is sweating bullets. It's super, super hot in this room and everybody is really uncomfortable. And now Snapchat and Facebook have this brilliant idea to put up a sign that says ice cold water. And they're going to start selling ice cold water to this room. Now, where do you think everybody's attention is going to gravitate towards? You got it. Everybody's attention is now going to go towards the ice cold water. That's because the ice cold water is speaking to the deepest pain point that they have in the moment. When the elephant was there, it was kind of the most startling thing, but they didn't have a deep pain around it. They were paying attention to it because it was so surprising. But now it's a really boiling hot room. They're experiencing real pain. It's a real nuance now. And they see this ice cold water sign. Everybody wants that because that is going to solve their problem. And you need to remember this. When you are selling your products online and you run an advertisement on Facebook or Snapchat or somewhere, everybody else is competing for your customers' attention as well. All of your competitors are competing for your customers' attention. Anything else that your customer buys that's outside of your product category, all those businesses are competing for your customers' attention as well. Your customer doesn't go on Facebook or Snapchat to shop for your products, believe it or not. They go on there to entertain themselves, look at different friends' birthdays, join different groups. But if you have a message that you put in front of them amongst that sea of content where everybody's trying to speak with them, the only way your message is going to stand out in that crowd is if you agitate their deep pain points or speak to their aspirations. So it's absolutely essential that when we create advertising messaging, that we hit it on the head with the customer's pain or passion points. We call this interruptive marketing, Remember, everyone's competing for your customers' attention online. And the only way to stand out and not be tuned out is to agitate your customers' pain, gain, and passion points in your content and show how your product is a vehicle for the transformation that they desire. And the way that you are going to absolutely master this and create content that speaks to your customers' pain or transformation is to fill out, you guessed it, your customer avatar canvas. This is one of digital marketers' most profound tools, and I'm going to show you right now how to fill this out for your online store. So you want to fill out the customer avatar canvas with the qualities of your best customers. This is who you want to attract, so you want to set your intent and focus on the customers you want. It's very likely that you have multiple customer segments, and that's okay. But you want to complete the customer avatar canvas for each and start with the one that you want to attract more of. In this real world example, I'm going to show you how we filled out the customer avatar canvas for one of our example brands, and this was for Ocean Sports. Remember earlier I said Ocean Sports is located nowhere near an ocean and they sell to a lot of people buying lake gear? Well, they have a lot of different customer segments who love the lake life. They have professional wakeboarders. They have people who just love hanging out on the beach. But they also have this guy, Lake Dad Daryl. This is probably their best customer segment who buys from them because Lake Dad Daryl has all the disposable income. He loves buying all the gear for the lake. He loves making sure that all the friends and families and neighbors have the best time at the lake. So our client, Ocean Sports, really wanted to create a campaign to attract more of the lake dads. And the idea here with the customer avatar canvas is that you want to build a profile that all the lake dads in the world share in common. You want to understand the lake dads' motives, what drives them, what keeps them up at night, what are their little nuances. So when you create content, you're able to attract more of them. So the first step is to give your customer avatar a name. And it's pretty simple. We know our customer avatar that we're trying to attract more of is the lake dads. So that's how you fill it out. You just put Lake Dad and then tack on a catchy name that you can remember it by. So we went with Lake Dad Daryl for this example. In the next section, right below, this is going to be your demographics and interests. And demographics are going to be things like his age, his disposable income, his earning. Does he live in a city or a rural town? And does he have kids? How old are the kids? Is he married? You want to be thinking about all of these demographics that are relevant to your target customer avatar. With the interest section, this is very, very important to nail down, and you really want to spend a lot of time flushing out all of the potential interests. And the things that you want to be thinking about are, what are the other brands that the lake dads like to buy? Specifically, your competitors. And not only that, what other lifestyle products does your customer buy around the lake life? So we could be thinking about competing wakeboarding brands, competing kayak brands, but we can also be thinking about barbecue brands. We know he's going to be barbecuing at the lake, right? So we could think about all of the different brands that are competing for his attention during the barbecue season. We could be thinking about where he goes for information. What TV shows does he watch? What magazines does he buy? What newsletters does he subscribe to? So you really want to take a lot of time thinking about all of the different interests because you're going to be using these interest audiences later when you start your advertising campaign. And a really, really helpful exercise that I want you to do right now is spend some time thinking about a really good quote that would get your customer avatar's attention. You really want to be picturing your customer sitting on their phone, going through Instagram. They're really bored. They're not getting much value out of any of the content they're seeing. And then all of a sudden, they see an ad that resonates at the heart of their soul. And picture your customer segment doing either an aggressive nod where they're like, wow, this is good. This like hit it on the mark. Or they're hysterically laughing because it just resonated with them so much. And they're doing a little bit of a knee slap. Because that's how you win their attention. They stop scrolling, they look at the message, and they get a really solid reaction. And then they end up sharing it with all of their friends, with their family, And most importantly, they share it with other lake dads. So we came up with a really clever quote for Lake Dad Daryl, which was, "My boat runs on gas, not thanks." Okay, now the key here is that not everyone's going to get that quote right away. But who do you think is going to get it immediately? It's going to be the lake dads. Because when you're boating around the lake, gas is really expensive. And everybody says, "Hey, thanks so much for the ride." And the lake dad's saying, "My boat runs on gas, not thanks. So can you contribute something to the gas instead of just a thank you?" And this quote was so successful for ocean sports that we ended up creating like insulated tumblers that we printed that quote on. So it's kind of like the container that the lake dads would bring on the boat for their beverages. And we put the quote right on there, and they sold out of that mug season after season. So go do some research, go look on Reddit or check online and come up with different quotes that your customer segment would pay a ton of attention to and ultimately would trigger a reaction. You really can't spend too much time flushing out all of the different interest audiences. I want to tell you an example in the real world. I have been mentoring a business that invented an eczema cream to solve her son's eczema. And even though she created the product to solve her son's eczema, for some reason, funny enough, when she launched her first campaign, her avatar wasn't the parents of the kids with eczema. She went right for the parents, right? So she was trying to market to adults who had eczema. But through this process, we flushed out her customer avatar and she came up with some really great content ideas. And I challenged her. I said, "You got to be thinking about all of the different interests that would be related to the parent of the kid who has eczema." And she tested out so many different interest audiences. And if she hadn't brainstormed so many, she wouldn't have knocked it out of the park as much as she did, because she discovered one interest audience was performing better than any of the other ones. And do you know what it was? It was reusable diapers, because a lot of adults who have kids with eczema need to buy reusable diapers because their son's or daughter's skin is really sensitive. And that's how it goes with e-commerce. As I was saying earlier, you don't know which combination of message and creative and audience is going to work the best for your business. So that's why we really want to flush out this avatar with lots of different content and ultimately lots of different interest audiences in this section. If she hadn't tried many different interest audiences, she wouldn't have arrived at a campaign that was performing really, really well. So take some time to flush out a ton of different interest audiences for your business. And now we're going to jump down to the lower section of the customer avatar canvas. This is the frustrations and fears. And remember, these are the things that your customer avatar wants to move away from in life. So what kind of things does our Lake Dad Daryl want to move away from in life? Well, he doesn't want cheap gear that's going to break down and risk his kid's safety. He also would dread people at the lake not having the best time. So think about as many frustrations and fears as you can and fill it out in this section. The next section over, these are your customer avatar's wants and aspirations. These are the things that your customer wants to move towards in life. So what does our lake dad aspire to accomplish? Well, he wants the perfect getaway, the perfect haven where he can go to with his family on the weekends. He also wants to build legacy and memories with his family and friends. So make sure you jot down those deep drivers, those things that your customer aspires to ultimately accomplish. The next section, and this has to be one of the most important pieces of your e-commerce campaign, these are your key purchase drivers. And you want to think about other individuals who are involved in the decision-making process. With our lake dads, we know that he doesn't always know the latest and greatest and trendiest gear. Who do you think does? His kids. Right? His kids know what they want, and dad has the wallet. So they're kind of tugging on him to buy this and that. And it's important for you to know that because his kids ultimately influence his buying decisions. And another thing that you need to flush out here for key purchase drivers is any potential objection that your customer has to the sale. When you think about where customers fall off in the buying process, most of the time it's on the product page. We know they fall off in the checkout and in the cart, but most of the time they fall off on the product page. That's because they have a little voice whispering in the back of their mind. They're trying to convince themselves to or not to buy. And they may have one of a million different objections. and you want to try and preempt any possible objection that your customer would have to buying. Like I said before, there's going to be a lot of customers who arrive on your online store and everything makes sense immediately and they check out right away. But there's going to be a whole bunch of others who are going to debate the decision for a long time. So if you leave any potential objection unanswered, you're risking losing a sale. And ultimately with e-commerce, we need to make sure we capture as many customers as we can because we know it's costly to invest in getting them to your site. So flush out any potential objection your customer would have. If you've sold your products face-to-face at a farmer's market or a pop-up shop, you're going to have some real gold because you know what kind of questions your customer asks in the buying process. When's it going to arrive? How much does it weigh? Am I going to be allergic to it? They're going to have so many different questions that come up in the sales process, and you want to answer all of them on your product page. So take some time to flush out your key purchase drivers now. All right, now we're moving on to probably the most powerful section of the customer avatar canvas. This is the before and after grid. And what we're trying to do in this section right now is paint the miserable state that your customer is in before buying your products. And then we're going to paint this amazing aspirational state that your customer will arrive to after buying your products. And remember, every customer who buys from you, they're not really buying products. Customers buy transformations. If you think about January every single year, what does everybody want? They want to arrive at the best version of themselves. They want better health. So how do they get to better health? Well, there's a million vehicles that can take them there, but all they ultimately want is the better health. They could do exercising, they can go on diets, they can join challenges. There's a million and one ways that your customer can arrive on the transformational state they desire, and your product is only one vehicle to get them there. And ultimately what we're going to do now is paint that picture. What is life like before? How miserable is it? And what is it like after? And how amazing it is. So with our Lake Dad Daryl, let's go through this. What did he have before buying from Ocean Sports? He had junky, broke down gear that was no longer safe. How did that make him feel? It made him feel embarrassed and guilty. And how did that feeling impact his average day? Well, he's no longer going to the lake every weekend with his friends and family. And how does that impact his status? When I'm talking about status, how are his peers judging him? Right? And everybody at the lake is not seeing Lake Dad Daryl there anymore. So how are they judging him? Well, he's the reclusive neighbor. He kind of sucks now. He used to be out here, but now he's no longer here. He's a recluse. And the good versus evil, this is the evil in the world that your product is helping overcome, right? So if he's not taking his kids out to the lake, what is the evil that his kids are succumbing to? And what is the evil that he is succumbing to? Well, guess what? They're not out there doing healthy activities. What are they doing instead? They're growing up on their phones. They're growing up on TikTok and Snapchat, and they're just glued to the darn thing, right? So that's the miserable state that Lake Dad Daryl is in when he doesn't have the amazing gear that Ocean Sports sells. Now he buys from Ocean Sports, and life is going to improve a ton. And we're going to talk about the after state now. What does he have now? He has really cool, trendy gear that stands out. How does that make him feel? It makes him feel proud and confident. How does that feeling of confidence impact his average day now? Well, guess what? He's at the lake every single weekend having the best time. They're kicking butt, getting better at sports, and spending a lot of time together. And how does that impact his status? Well, now he's the guy that everybody wants to hang out with at the lake, or the other dads want to be him because he's so cool and he's kind of like a lake celebrity, right? And how does that ultimately impact the good versus evil state? What is the good that is going to come out of this when people shop for your products? With Lake Dad Daryl, now his kids are living the healthiest, active lifestyle. And that's spiraling into them bringing out their friends and family. And everybody's living a healthy lifestyle. Everybody's creating memories together. And ultimately, this is the deepest level of the transformation. And when you think about a lot of e-commerce stores, when they're marketing their businesses, people get so hung up marketing themselves. and they just say, we're so great. We have this amazing product. It's made out of these ingredients. But guess what? Your customer doesn't care that much about you. They care about them and how your product is going to make their life better. So as we go through that before and after state, it gets deeper and deeper. We talk about the have and the feeling and how it makes my average day better, how it impacts my status, and ultimately the good that's going to come out of shopping from your store. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I've met over the years who created a customer avatar or a customer profile and then never used it. And what a waste of time that would be. I also know a ton of entrepreneurs who get really intimidated by this process because it is absolutely one of the hardest things to nail down. But we absolutely need to fill out our customer avatar canvas the best we can because it is the first step to launching a successful campaign. So I'm going to show you how you are going to apply this to your campaign. And the first step that I need you to do, it's quite simple, and you're going to be relieved if you go through this process. I need you to pull out 3 hook ideas from your customer avatar canvas that agitate the pain of your customer avatar or speak to their transformation. And when I say hook, what I mean is this is like the opener to your pitch to get your customer's attention. If you think about an ad and your customer scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, they're going to see some type of hook that agitates their pain or passion and captures their attention. So let's look at some hook ideas for Lake Dad Daryl. And I have a worksheet for you to fill out. And I just want you to go through this customer avatar canvas, flush it out fully, and then pull out 3 hook ideas that agitate the pain or speak to transformation. For Lake Dad Daryl, one of them was get your kids off Snapchat and hit the lake. Right? Another one was make memories for your friends and neighbors that will last a lifetime. And the last one was show your kids that you're cool. Okay, so these are way deeper than just talking about wakeboarding gear. We're going to capture his attention by agitating pain or speaking to transformation. So this is what I need you to do now is flush out the avatar canvas and pull out 3 hook ideas.